focus on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then it feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in on August 25th, 2021, and the meme stock rally is back. And we got a couple of indicators leading into Jackson Hole, but today was absolutely crazy out of nowhere. I wouldn't want to say out of nowhere. It was like the last hour you saw AMC, GameStop, Clover, a lot of the other big popular meme stocks you saw at the beginning of the year. They ran up a ton, but like I'm saying, it didn't come out of nowhere because all day throughout the day, we saw a lot of random pops in the market, but you can see here the S&P pretty much closed right where we were, and then if you pull the chart back up, you can kind of see how we're getting back into that August mode. Remember, last week was the real only week you saw with actual movement, so it was definitely crazy. And then what you saw out of the meme stocks today, this was the largest run-up since June. However, if you look at the pace here, the pace in the fast increase, it parallels that short squeeze that we saw in January. So we got to talk about that. We have a lot of other things we need to talk about. We had a lot of plays on the table today. A lot of them hit. Shout out to Airbnb. And we got a lot more plays for the rest of the week, as well as what happened and what we're looking at coming into an important event. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/thestockmarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch lists come to life, and yes, whether you've been trading for 10 years or 50% think the market's gonna crash or that it's forever going up, it doesn't matter, and we are the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post or watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off the bat, the August lull definitely came back. That's what I showed you there with the charts. Today was a very, very boring day to some degree, and a lot of the news really wasn't popping. It was all about Afghanistan, and then you did get some economic data, but that short squeeze definitely got a lot of people's attention, but I even misworded it. It's not really a short squeeze. We'll get back to that. But one big factor that you saw today was that China was able to really calm the markets. It was China, commodities, oil. Unfortunately, you didn't see it with the chip makers, but they have kind of bounced after a long week or 2 weeks of kind of declining there. You even got Kathy Woods buying into JD and some other name, but that really helped support the market today, even though you didn't watch our indexes move too much. But now Afghanistan, that situation there, it's getting murky, and that deadline date is what is making things very, very interesting. If you were watching today, you saw a couple of interesting moves. Every time they mentioned the deadline, the first headline was with the G7 saying they wanted to extend, but then Biden said that they are going to be sticking to that timeline. The market started to trip out a little bit at European close, and then towards the end of the day, as it was reiterated by Jen Psaki, the market started to drop again as well. And then what a lot of other people pointed out to me was that when you look at the dates there, the real question is going to be, are we talking August 31st Kabul deadline, or are we talking August 31st American deadline? So when you look at the calendar there, what does this really mean? August 31st is Tuesday for us, but it looks like by Monday or even coming into the weekend on Friday, we may have to make our decision there. So it is very interesting. It is definitely not enough to shake the market. Again, you can't stop the market. But what we did get today, this is where it really gets kind of iffy coming into Powell. This is your first pretty chart. The rally isn't safe just yet. And what you see here, it's the first time in a long time, this is even from the beginning of the year, you have the S&P rallying up, but the bond yields are not playing along with it. So essentially, if the market is this high, we should see the bond yields go up. You should see TLT drop. The blue line is investment grade bonds, and then the purple line is high yield credit. But overall, even during all of this, you are are not seeing the bonds playing along. The market is moving out of sync. So with the market outpacing yields, I really would call this the Jackson Hole effect. You're getting a lot of movement. Even retail and even the meme stocks, they were not able to wait for Powell. Again, people are sitting here. It's summer. A lot of different things are happening, but people are going to be getting to those trades. However, the big money and looking at this stuff more pinned to macro policy and Fed policy like the yields, those are not moving at all. I'm really seeing this as the Jackson Hole effect, but you also got that bad data today, and that kind of supports this idea that there will be no updates on Jackson Hole. But really, what I'm looking for to confirm of whether the market's going to stay up here or not, it is how the rates are going to move after Jackson Hole. This may be a nice leading indicator, so we will see what happens. But coming into the meme stocks, like we said, the rally is not done just yet. And so when you look at it, this is the biggest jump that we've seen since around June. But if you look at this first candle, this first move, you haven't had a move like this big in one day. It was about a 10% move, and this is the meme stock basket. I believe it's about 38 stocks ranging from AMC to GameStop and all of that, but some of them moved as much as they did in January. It really depends on what name you are looking at. So if we do see this continue into tomorrow, we may see another trend emerge, but analysts have noted on this already that short interest does not seem to be a factor, believe it or not. So this move is literally just retail jumping back into call options after we've had that big August 20th expiration. So I would definitely keep my eye out for this. A lot of the names that we saw move back then, they moved today, and it wasn't just meme stocks. It was a lot of even IPO growth names. Watch out for the small caps, even watch out for that value rotation as well. Just remember all of the things that occurred during that moment. But either way, if this continues for a second day, it is definitely going to be important. But coming into the company news and events for today, there really wasn't too much. The first thing in this one was important, and it did help cool things off because now the market really only has to focus on Jackson Hole and the Afghanistan situation. This could have been an issue, and we will see how it plays out, but the House has adopted a $3.5 trillion budget blueprint, and it's backed by Biden, and it's giving deadlines, I believe, till September 25th to have everything up front or at least hashed out to get it ready to go and sign. So this is a good step forward. We will see how these updates play out. If this is hanging in the air and it does turn backwards as the Afghanistan situation kind of loses some of the wheels on there, then this could definitely come back to haunt us, and we do need to keep an eye on the debt ceiling. But that was the first piece. The second piece came here in the morning. It moved a lot of things, but Cathie Wood decided to buy JD, and then in a Bloomberg interview, she said that she's actually more optimistic than pessimistic about China, and it's kind of contrary to what she said, I believe, about a week ago. I even put it on here on the watch list where she said it would take some time for things to go back to normal, but what she did say about this here is that she is talking about the long term, and she said she's more optimistic for the United States. So you saw a big bounce, a big relief rally across all of those names. Some did better than others. JD bounced back to the level it was at in the last 3 months, whereas BABA is still hanging around one of the lows. So that one was interesting. Another interesting one, Fed policy gets criticized by the People's Bank of China. This is essentially their Fed, and as they are starting to ease up a little bit, going opposite of us starting to want to taper, and then if we taper, it's really pulling apart from what they're doing. We've talked about this in one of those old weekend videos, but they are even saying that tapering could lead to a devaluation of their currency, or that's how they could counteract it. But ultimately, any tapering by the United States could lead to a correction in emerging markets. Now, they have said something like this before. I don't know how long you've been in the market, but if you remember the first time that we did start to talk about raising rates or cutting rates in like 2018, 2019, they did say something similar. The only difference here now is that China is in the process of easing again, and now we are about to kick off our tightening, but we will see what happens. So definitely keeping my eye out for that one. And then finally, Boeing gets a new FAA scrutiny this morning over employees not being able to complain. Essentially, they did a survey and it showed that if employees wanted to complain about safety issues, it was often met with a lot of hurdles, or even they could be disciplined. So Boeing is kind of winding up in trouble again. However, this stock did not get clapped as you would have thought it was. But those are pretty much the main events today. There was a couple of other things, but nothing too crazy. New home sale data did beat, and that was good. The first increase in about 4 months. But then the Richmond Fed manufacturing numbers, those were a huge miss on the downside. But all in all, with everything that we're looking at getting ready for, it was not enough for the market to react. And then ultimately, how the data balances out kind of gives credit to whether or not we will see an update at Jackson Hole. But there is still a lot of things that could happen, a lot of hype, a lot of news, and a lot of stuff we can't expect. So I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stocks that I'm looking at, actually 4 in a couple of different strategies, but I only made 1 play today, and then the rest were riding out the plays that we made yesterday, and we woke up to a lot of good things, and that first one was Airbnb. So I really like this one. It could be fire all week. We've been building up our share positions. I said I wanted to go with the options. I wish I did. If you got some, shout out to you, baby. But I think you are still going to get a lot of moves this week, but it all depends on how it trades at that 170 level. So they were able to close at 160. If it could get to 170 in general, that is going to be able to create some opportunities for some frogs even by the end of the week. But you can see what I'm talking about here. This is one of the biggest days that it's had in the last quarter. I would even want to argue all year until we saw some of that first run up, but this is that price point where a lot of things went crazy. So 170 is pretty much that support level that it's seen before this. You could almost argue that kind of the equilibrium price since the company has IPO'd. So depending on how it trades around there, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in that one, and I like it. Shout out to the long term. We've been stacking this play for about 3 months. Every single month of the deposits, we put it in there, and it is paying off. So time to start seeing what we could do with the options. Maybe cover calls, but I'd rather play some of the upside. But that was the first play. The second play is going to be Affirm, and this one's a little bit random, but they were moving throughout the day. I saw their chart. It is an IPO, and if you remember, I did play the shares with it last week. They had all of that hype surrounding the buy now, pay later stuff, but they were IPO'd at like $92 or something, and they even hit as far as 140. So they had a really deep option chain on there. So I grabbed one play just super far out the money. It is a lower probability play. It's a longer duration. That's how I kind of balanced it out. I made sure I got time on it, but if it's able to kind of move off of this IPO bottom is what I'm calling it. You've seen this a couple of times depending on the names, especially this year. If it could kind of move up off there, we got a little bit of time, a cheap play, this thing could definitely surprise. It does have the ability to move. It has just kind of been in a coma and hasn't really been doing its thing there. So as far as the play, nothing crazy. The stock even went down throughout the day. Didn't lose much or make much. This is just a November 125 call. I grabbed one of them for 55 cents. I thought it was a good lotto. Good $50, has a decent amount of time. If this wakes up as a growth stock or one of those movers, it could be decent. So that was the second play. Then the third play, Roblox. Again, we've been talking about it. That play that I made yesterday, that went up about 72%. But if you've been following along, then another factor that I was looking for was for those September ones to come back to life, and they sure did. It's not too crazy. The contracts were up 50% on the day, but now I'm only up 17% based on where we bought it. We got 70% on the other ones, so you could start to see the premium is now starting to come back to the option chain, and that is what we are looking for. So I really like that. But if you are watching today, I did do a little play that I ran the numbers on. I didn't decide to go with it, but weekly debit spreads, not credit spreads. But that would be the play there. They're really cheap, and you only need a 10% move for them to get in the money, but the problem is tomorrow's Wednesday. They only have a little bit of time left. So I'm probably going to let the premium burn in the morning. I want to see how it plays out. And I'm going to be patient on this play since I have exposure. But if some of that meme stock hype comes back, if we do get a little bit jumpy with certain names, there could be an opportunity. And don't forget how advantageous those debit spreads could be in some of these situations. So that's the third play. And then finally, speaking of advantageous and using certain strategies for certain situations, we got AMC, baby. And what I want to do with that one is pretty much wait for the premiums to jack up a little bit more, and then we can rinse and repeat and do our covered call strategy. So I'm sure you've seen this before, but it's always good to kind of watch how we've played this situation and just learn this strategy. We still have these shares from $5 a pop. We got these way back in the day, about a year ago, August 2020. But if you've been following along and you guys have done it, shout out to everybody who learned from the videos IPOs and actually executed this, we've been collecting premium on this the whole time. And remember, they all expired August 20th. So last time it had the run up, we collected about $2,800, $3,000 just selling calls and agreeing to sell our shares at $70. So think about what happened. The stock never hit $70 or it fell out of the money. And then August 20th, the contracts expired. We kept the premium. I spent $1,500 for all of these shares. They're worth $13,000 now, but we've already collected 100% of our initial investment. So now what I'm waiting for is, yes, it had a big run up today. The premiums didn't move too much. It was decent, but I'm waiting for one more leg up. If those premiums get crazy, we are going to get to be able to repeat exactly what we did here, pull out some more money, and then ride the wave and see what happens. But those are going to be the main plays. As far as everything else, I love Airbnb. Watch NVIDIA. They got a deal today. It was actually interesting. It mentioned AMD and Intel as well, but apparently the government is buying a supercomputer or something like that from them. So that was interesting. Ford, I believe they moved a little bit after hours, but they kind of got in on that pop. They're not really a meme stock, but they're one of these cheaper ones, and they are part of a lot of these names here. Again, I hope you guys are paying attention to a lot of these moves, whether it's China stocks or not, even semiconductors, oil, all of that. Some things have taken some really big 5-6 day drops, so they're kind of bouncing up from here. We need to really confirm, but I would definitely watch Ford. They have been on the losing end for about 3 months now, so we'll see how that plays out. UWMC, they got their ex-dividend on September 9th. This one ties into the whole bond situation and even the real estate data, but we will see how that one plays out. But again, this has been another one of those underperformers for the last few months. Then Nordstrom's, they reported their margins were not as good, and if you saw a lot of the other retailers, they did really good. If you guys remember Macy's earlier this week or last week, so to watch them play like this, I will definitely be watching for the continuation. Maybe one of those credit spread plays. JD, they did the best. One, Kathy bought into them, and their earnings was decent, but you could see here now, they've made up this loss. They never really broke below their first low, so they're kind of holding up here in the middle. And remember, they even have exposure to medicine, vaccine stuff, and all of that, so that one was interesting. But then Baba, kind of looking like a dead cat bounce. We'll see. I did not do my rollover, so remember, we covered those puts. They're only worth $400 now. We sold them for $1,100, so really good play on that side, but I'm going to be waiting to go back against it. But this is kind of just that little relief, so we will watch it, but always a trading opportunity, so keep your eye on them. A firm, like we said, Nucor, I wish I looked at it and got it. It had that bounce, but it is a slow mover, so I will definitely be watching those premiums tomorrow morning. Clover, I don't have a position, man. Shout out to Wall Street Stocks. I know he's a big fan of this one. It has had the ability to kind of come to life here. Maybe it is their turn. We will see what happens, but definitely a lot of eyes on this. If you get a lot of momentum just throughout the day, I would not be surprised to watch them go. Roblox, pull out the chart. I have been looking at the 100-day chart, and it kind of looks like it's not been doing much, but when you pull it out to just when they IPO'd, this is looking very, very bullish, or at least you could start to see it kind of uptrend. I think if it gets like around 90 something, it's just a clear uptrending pattern there. So call it what you want. Is that Texaco? Oh, dude, the Fibonacci, dude. But watch them. And then finally, GME and GameStop. Epic run up here, and again, you can see this candle on GME, even AMC. This really did come out of nowhere, so we are fully riding with AMC. I don't have anything except that one share that we did as the test run on GME, but definitely just watch out for this space in general to see if we get another phenomena type of event. But then coming into TLT now, they finally dropped it. If the market is going to rally more, we need to see this go down. But like I told you at the beginning of the video, there is a disconnect, and I'm not expecting the bonds to move up until we get Powell and then bring it to the dollar. The dollar did move a little bit, but it's still the same situation. We're at this elevated price. You even got the warning there from China. A lot is going to be how we kind of respond following the developments we saw this week. Part of it has to do with Jackson Hole, but now, was this a dead cat bounce? Was this a relief rally? Or if we see some of the commodities, oil and other stuff, chill out and go back to weakening, you may see the dollar lead the way, or the dollar may move beforehand. So just keep your eyes on the velocity. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to remember it only takes one, baby. But the Cole loves you. I love you. And we'll see you in the morning. Let's go.